I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Andrea Tantaros, host of Money with Melissa Francis on our sister network, Melissa herself. The host of Kennedy on FBN, Kennedy. And today's hashtag, this is a big news day. You said it yourself.
Yeah, really big news day. I mean, that was years. And I think bracing for people who haven't been.
Line with regard to doing a deal with Iran fast approaching later this month. Inside the Beltway, how does this play, particularly among Democrats, and does this move the line to try to push back that deadline so more talk happens?
Well, the Palestinians, I don't think this helps the Democratic Party. I also think this puts the White House in a very precarious position because Netanyahu made a very compelling case against letting Iran get the bomb, and he essentially said that he was, quote, paving the way, President Obama, for doing it. And it almost made me feel like he not made a compelling case. They haven't made any case. I mean, we don't even know what.
Iran has become the hegemon in the Middle East, and the United States, if they allow them to get the.
What are your thoughts about the politics at play with the.
It has been the explicit strategy of the Obama administration. It's naive, to Andrea's point, and I think he's right.
You know, I want to bring this up.
Is one of the companies that is fighting to get into Tehran right now. They deny the reports.
Right? I mean, we're looking at Yemen, too. I mean, so it's not just the territory.
Now, the upper classes in Iran are still able to get all that technology, and they can still benefit.
But they don't have the outside investment. And when you have these multinational companies pouring into Iran, then at this point investing, it lifts the.
And be on the side of democracy promotion. Wasn't that the time for the administration to do it?
And look, I mean, nobody would pretend that it was a sure thing.
That comes from the other side, that now is the opportunity, because we're looking at mullahs, that their grip on the society is weak, and this would be the moment. But do we want to take that risk?
Yes. I don't always want to take the risk with the free market.
But there are two reasons their grip has ratcheted up the sanctions.
Steve, I want to ask you about where this puts the president, though, because it seemed like Netanyahu was talking specifically to the president, who
with 5 minutes of praise and said there are things that people have seen, there are things that people will never see.
Puts Hillary Clinton in an interesting position to respond to to Iran's nuclear program, and these are things that she has not wanted to do. If she gets in the race next month, she's going to be forced to
and not just that.
Right after the election in Israel, so she won't be able to ignore.
A lot of them boycotted this speech, and they're the ones that are in charge here. So now they have to explain not just going to the speech, but their support of a president who, again, as Steve and I keep talking about, was essentially called naive today by Benjamin Netanyahu.
I want to get back to the bones of the speech, Stephen.
To Reuters yesterday and comments from the White House podium over the last few days.
What was wrong with it? He made the.
So you just watched Benjamin Netanyahu. We covered it here for you live, and continuing with some of this analysis, Stephen, I want to go to you. You know, perhaps you may think this wasn't the right venue for Netanyahu, but what else has been damaged, and they don't know what this could mean?
When you're talking about the existence of your country, I mean, it is an existential threat to Israel. I think, I don't know whether his speech will change minds in Israel. It'll change minds here.
Yes.
I think
We've been debating here at home a lot to say this is why you should care. This is why it matters to you that the White House isn't taking this seriously.
Didn't you also answer it?
Yeah.
He said, look, if they don't walk, if they walk away, they don't come a bad deal. What does a good deal look like? It's not war. He said, right now what it looks like is our only two choices is laid out. War versus getting a deal. He
will not allow them to acquire the bomb, period. My first thought was, or else what?
Yeah, the IAEA, he pointed out, but they're not going to do anything to stop it. And sanctions aren't going to stop Iran from trying to get. It raises a lot of questions for the American people. You know, it raises a lot of questions for passionate about your feelings with Iran.
The White House is.
Right.
10 years, by the way, is a blip. You know, he's talking about
our neighborhood.
This is how he approached these rogue states from.
I believe that it's one of arrogance that he thinks that he could.
The president's going to have to speak to as well.
I think Republicans should probably piggyback on Netanyahu and use it as an opportunity to make that link, just as Netanyahu did. That seems smart to me. All right, well, new questions for Hillary Clinton over the news.
I knew that Democrats were angry about the speech, many of them boycotting. I gave some loose numbers earlier. Had a visceral reaction.
Hill. Harris, I know how these things work. When I worked,
oh, thanks for the speech. We already know.
The White House might have just deployed some folks.
Yeah, making them look pretty hostile.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key word.
Who wants to be at Disney and be lectured onto the way that we negotiate when, in fact, opportunity. What?
And David Price said. David Price said that
Capitol Hill is still in. How important is that? And what does that make our president look like politically?
President is.
Democrats are delighting in a rift with Israel.
I think it isn't often that you see
court, and they're going to have to respond, and they're in a really, really tough position after the speech today.
Fox News Channel, as we always do, will continue to bring you the breaking news on this story. The Democrats still on the Hill right now in their news conference with reaction to the Prime Minister's speech today. Stay with us. Happening now is now.